Okay, friends, I am Dr. Arun Patel. You can call me A.P. Patel, and I am going to discuss one of your paper that is related with the electronics. The number of the paper is PPH 1802, and the first unit, actually this paper is related with the electronics. Here in this paper, you are going to learn about a operational amplifier, field effect transistor, then the regulated power supply. But the first unit is related with a operational amplifier and its application. Already you have got some information about the op-amp in a undergraduate level. Okay? So here just we are going to revise that what we have learned in a undergraduate level. So basically if you see the history of the op-amp, then the concept of the op-amp was developed in a 1940. In 1940, the concept of op-amp is developed. Then in 1948, the first op-amp was developed using a vacuum tube. Remember, here whatever the op-amp was there, where the vacuum tubes are used. Now we know that the limitation of the vacuum tubes. So first of all, if we see, the vacuum tubes are large in the size. They require the higher amount of the power. So the power dissipation is very high, and due to that, it is going to be a heater. Not only that, due to the size of the vacuum tube, the size of the circuit is also going to increase, means it occupies the large amount of the space in the circuit. So there are a number of the disadvantages using the vacuum tube. Then in between the 1964 and 68, the first op-amp was developed. First op-amp was developed by Robert J. Weidler in a integrated form. Remember, this op-amp was developed in a integrated form. You can say it is in the form of a IC. So already we know the advantage of the IC, that basically it is of a small size, very small size. That size of the IC, you can say it is the size of a button. So very small size is there. Then the cost is less because the IC is going to be manufactured in bulk. So the cost of the IC is also going to be decreased. So here it is also the cost is very small. You can say it is very cheap. So whatever the first IC was developed by this Robert J. Weidler, that was a 741. 741 op-amp, that is the most popular operational amplifier, and still this 741 is used in number of the application. So it is also a very versatile. Versatile means it is used almost in all the field of the electronics. When you are talking about a regulated power supply, or we are talking about a amplifier, in different types of the amplifier it is used. It is used in a power supply. It is used in the communication. Then it is used in instrumentation. It is also used for a medical application. So whatever the field of the electronics we have, in all the field, the 741, or you can say the operational amplifier is used. It has a large application. You can say it has a infinite application, and that's why the operational amplifier are very popular for making any kind of a electronic circuit. You are talking about a analog circuit or you are talking about a digital circuit, then the operational amplifiers are useful. Okay? So now let us see what is the operational amplifier. Here, this is a kind of an amplifier. Here, op-amp means it is known as operational amplifier. Now, why it is known as the operational amplifier? So, we know that in mathematics, we have number of the operation like addition, subtraction, integration, differentiation. Then this op-amp can perform all the types of the operation. That's why it is known as the operational amplifier. So when we are talking about the addition of the two voltage or the addition of the signal or the subtraction, or if you want to integrate, then you want a differentiation, or you want to find out the log of the function or a anti-log of the function, then you can use this as a rectifier also. So here whatever the mathematical operations are there, all the mathematical operation is performed by this circuit. That's why it is known as a operational amplifier. Basically, this op-amp was developed for the analog computation, or it was developed for the analog computer. When the digital computer was not there, then the analog computer was there. So in analog computer, if you want to solve any kind of a linear equation, or a differential equation, so to solve this kind of the equation, this op-amp was used. So analog computer was developed using the operational amplifier, and here that's why it is known as, because it is going to perform all the kind of the mathematical operation, that's why it is known as the operational amplifier. Now let us see what is basically an operational amplifier. Operational amplifier is nothing but it is a differential amplifier. Remember, it is a differential amplifier of a very high gain. Very high gain means the gain of this amplifier will be 1 lakh, 10 lakh or more than that will be. So, and number of the differential amplifier, not a single one. Here whatever the IC we have, the number of the differential amplifiers will be there, and therefore the gain of this op-amp is going to be a very, very large. Here it is a differential amplifier, means it has a more than one input. Remember. So here basically if we see, it has a two input and one output is there. Two input and one output. Here if we say that this is a V1 input and this is a V2 input is there, and the output. Now remember, it is a differential amplifier, therefore the output means the amplifier is not amplifying the V1, it is also not amplifying the V2, but it will amplify the difference between these two voltage, and that is that's why it is proportional to a V2 minus V1. Remember. So whatever the difference is there, difference between these two terminals, that is we call a VD, and it is V2 minus V1. So basically it is amplifying the difference between the two input voltage. Here if we see, then this output voltage we can write as a AD into V2 minus V1. Then this AD is known as a differential gain of op-amp. It is known as the differential gain of the op-amp. Now if I want to use this as a simple amplifier, remember, means if we have only one input, then what we can do, that one of the input here, if I will connect to the ground, means my V2 is going to be 0. So in this case, the V2 is equal to 0, then we can write the output voltage is equal to AD into V1. It will work as a simple amplifier. Or you can have, means you can also apply the signal to the V1 also. Here, if this V1 is connected to the ground and you apply the signal to this terminal, then in this case the output voltage will be equal to AD into V2, because the V1 is going to be a 0. So in this way, by keeping one of the terminal to a ground level, then you can amplify the signal. Now let us see what is the difference between these two terminals. Here we have V1 input and the V2 input. You can call this as a V1 and this is a V2. Basically operational amplifier, whatever the two terminals are there, then one of the terminal is known as a non-inverting terminal, another is known as a inverting terminal. Here let us say the V2 is a non-inverting terminal, and that's why here we are putting a positive sign. V1 is a inverting terminal. Remember, this is known as a non-inverting terminal, and this one is known as a inverting terminal. Now, what is the meaning of this? When we apply the signal, to a non-inverting terminal, means here if I will apply a kind of a sine wave at the input of V2, then in the output I will get the same signal without any change in the phase. Means my input signal and the output signal both will be in the same phase. There will not be any inversion. Only the amplification will take place, but the phase will remain as it is. So when you apply the signal to a non-inverting terminal, then here you will get a phase difference of 0 degree. When we apply a signal to a inverting terminal, if I will apply this kind of a sine wave here, then instead of this kind of a wave, I will get a inverted signal. Amplified signal will be a inverted. So here it is going to introduce the phase of a 180 degree. So you can use the operational amplifier as a inverting op-amp as well as a non-inverting op-amp. Whatever the requirement is there, accordingly we can apply the signal to this different terminal. Correct? So inverting terminal will give you the phase inversion, and that is of a 180 degree. Non-inverting terminal will give you the 0-degree phase. Okay. Now we will see what is the ideal op-amp. Or a characteristics of the ideal op-amp. Then for any kind of the amplifier, we have to see a four important parameter, that is what is the voltage gain, what is the input resistance, output resistance, and what is the bandwidth of the amplifier. So in ideal op-amp, if you see, when you are talking about the ideal op-amp, means its a voltage gain is infinite. It is infinite. So actually this voltage gain, that is known as a open loop gain. Remember, it is a open loop gain and it is represented as AON. Open loop means we are not giving any kind of a feedback. Without any feedback, whatever the gain of the op-amp is there, it is known as the open loop gain and represented as AON. It should be an infinite. Then another parameter if you see, that is the input resistance, Ri. And we know that for any amplifier, it should be infinite. What is Ri? Ri means the resistance between these two terminals. Resistance between the inverting and non-inverting terminal, that is known as a input resistance of the amplifier, and it should be a infinite. Then if you see the output resistance, that R must be a 0. So if you measure the resistance from the output terminal, then this RO must be a 0. So if it is 0, then your operational amplifier can drive number of the devices. Remember, means there will not be any kind of a loading, so the operational amplifier can drive a number of the devices in the output. Then if you are talking about the bandwidth must be also a infinite. Means either you apply a low frequency at the input or you apply a high frequency at the input. For all the frequency range, the gain of the amplifier is going to remain constant. That is that we can say the bandwidth is a infinite. So it will give you the equal response to a high frequency, mid frequency as well as the low frequency. That is the bandwidth. Correct? Then two terminologies there, that is known as a CMRR, common mode rejection ratio. It should be also infinite, and the slew rate. It should be also a infinite. So about these two parameters, we will discuss later on what is the CMRR of the operational amplifier and what is the slew rate of the operational amplifier. But it should be also a very, very large for a ideal operational amplifier. Okay. Now let us see that what is a virtual ground. Here, to understand the operational circuit or op-amp circuit, it is very necessary to understand what is the virtual ground in the op-amp. And on the basis of this, you can analyze any kind of the circuit. The concept of the virtual ground is very important. Now again we consider A1 op-amp. this is my a non-inverting terminal, and this is a inverting terminal. Here we applied a voltage V2, here we applied voltage V1, and this is my output voltage. Correct? Now remember, virtual ground concept is applicable only for the ideal op-amp. Remember, if we have the practical op-amp, in practical op-amp, we don't have a voltage gain infinite, input resistance will not be also infinite, output resistance will not be also a zero. But to simplify the analysis, we consider the ideal op-amp. So, what is a virtual ground? Here we know that the input resistance is infinite. Means the resistance between the inverting and the non-inverting terminals. Here this resistance is a infinite. Whatever the Rn is there, it is infinite, means there will not be any flow of current from the inverting terminal to a non-inverting and non-inverting terminal to the inverting terminal. In other words, we can say that the current flowing in the operational amplifier is zero. When we apply the signal either to a inverting terminal or a non-inverting terminal, then the current will not flow because the resistance between the inverting and non-inverting terminal is infinite. So you should understand that there will not be any flow of current in a operational amplifier. That's why here it is represented as a zero. Now second thing, that the voltage gain. Voltage gain, you can say it is a open loop gain. Correct? Here, the output voltage is, or you can write that open loop gain. Open loop gain is a ratio of what? Output voltage divided by a differential voltage. So, whatever the difference of this voltage is here, that VD is nothing but V2 minus V1. Correct? I already mentioned that op-amp is not amplifying V1, it is not amplifying V2, but it is amplifying the difference between the two voltage, that is V1 minus V2. So, here we write VO divided by V2 minus V1. V2 minus V1. But when we consider the ideal op-amp, then what is the open loop gain? Open loop gain is infinite. Open loop gain is infinite. Now, when this will be infinite, either your output voltage is 0 or the V2 minus V1 is, either your output voltage is infinite. Here, output voltage is infinite, or the V2 minus V1 is equal to 0. But remember, output voltage cannot be a infinite. It cannot be a infinite, because whatever the voltage we apply to the operational amplifier, that is the DC voltage, here to operate this IC, I have to give a plus VCC and minus VEE. The operational amplifier will require the positive voltage as well as the negative voltage. So suppose my maximum at my DC voltage is of a 12 volt and this is a minus 12 volt, then this output voltage maximum will be of a plus or minus 12 volt will be there. That is called a saturation. So in that case, the op-amp is going to be in a saturation. So output voltage of the op-amp cannot be a infinite. Remember. So that is a, so it means that V2 minus V1 has to be 0. So this indicates that V2 must be equal to a V1. Means the potential of a non-inverting terminal and the potential of this inverting terminal is same. It is same. So here, let us say if I am connecting a V2 to the ground, V2 is connected to the ground. Now the difference between these two voltages is 0. It means that this terminal V1, that potential is also going to be a 0. So actually the V1 is not connected to the ground. Remember, here we apply the signal in this way through some resistance, correct? Here at this point, remember, this point is not connected to the ground, but due to the infinite open loop gain, V1 and V2 are same. So if the V2 is connected to the ground, means my V2 is equal to 0, then this point will also work as or behave like a ground, and therefore this is known as a virtual ground. Virtual ground means it is physically not connected to the ground, but the potential developed at that point will be almost a 0. And this concept is very useful for the analysis of the circuit. Now sometimes what will happen? That instead of this, here if it is connected, here if I am connecting to a plus 1 volt, now V2 minus V1 is 0, it means here the potential at this point will be also a 1 volt. Remember. So the virtual ground will be there only when one of the terminal is connected to the ground. But if that one of the terminal we have connected some known voltage, then the same potential will be appear on the other terminal also. Right? So this is very important when you are applying the virtual ground concept for the analysis of the circuit. So for the virtual ground you should understand two things. That virtual ground concept is applicable only for the ideal op-amp. Remember. Second thing, it is applicable when we provide a negative feedback. But later on we will see. If you provide a positive feedback, then that virtual ground will not work. Secondly, that if the two different terminal if we have applied a different voltage, here suppose I have applied a plus 1 volt and here I have applied minus 2 volt directly. On one of the terminal it is a plus 1 and another terminal if it is a minus 2, then the virtual ground concept will not be applicable. So you should understand the limitation of the virtual ground. So whenever we have a kind of a positive feedback, so normally the positive feedback we applied in a oscillator circuit. So in oscillator, when you use the op-amp as an oscillator, then the virtual ground concept will not be applicable. Or if you are making a kind of a stable multivibrator, or you are using a comparator circuit. So here basically this is a kind of a comparator. I am applying a plus 1 here, minus 2 here. So there is no question of a virtual ground. So in that case you cannot apply the virtual ground concept. So virtual ground concept is applicable to a ideal op-amp and when there will be a kind of a negative feedback. Correct? So here now whatever the most popular IC is there, that is a 741. So if we see the pin diagram of the 741, then it is like this. You can see this is a 741 IC and it has a 8 pin. So pin number 1, 2, 3. Here when you are using the IC, then you should understand that here you can see one of the dot is there on the left hand side. Yeah, the dot is there. So that dot is indicating the pin number 1. And then you have to move in a anti-clockwise direction. So pin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this anti-clockwise direction, you will get a pin number. Basically, the 741 has a one op-amp, that is the pin number 2 and 3 are the input of the op-amp. So pin number 2, that is your inverting input, and pin number 3 is a non-inverting input. And the pin number 6 is the output. Remember, pin number 6 of the IC is output. Now this op-amp requires the positive voltage as well as the negative voltage. So here we applied a plus VCC of a 12 volt, and here we applied a minus 12 volt. You can also apply minus 6, minus 9, minus 12. You can go up to minus 18. So this IC is going to be operated up, from plus or minus 6 volt to plus or minus 18 volt. That is the range of the IC. So here it is connected, and here this is connected to pin number 4. Then the rest of the two pins are there, offset null and offset null 2. So what is the function of the offset null, that we will discuss in the next lecture. But basically you should understand the pin number 2 is an inverting input, pin number 3 is non-inverting, and pin number 6 is output. Pin number between the pin number 4 and 7, you have to apply a plus or minus 12 volt. Okay, now we will discuss one simple application. That the first application is a ideal inverting amplifier. Ideal inverting amplifier. Remember. Then the same logic you can apply for a practical one. Then later on I will explain you what is the difference between both the things. Okay? So here if we see the circuit, then we require a one op-amp. Okay? And this op-amp has two inputs. So this is my inverting terminal, non-inverting terminal, and here we have this output. Now remember, when we are talking about the gain of the amplifier, here when I am talking about a 741, then for the 741 the open loop gain is 2 into 10 raised to 5. Remember, it is very high. It is very high, 2 lakhs. But if you want to control the gain, means I want to reduce the gain. In my application, I want the gain of only 100 or 10. Then we have to apply a negative feedback. Remember, already you know the property of the negative feedback. Correct? When we apply negative feedback, then the gain of the amplifier is going to decrease. So how we can apply the negative feedback? So in negative feedback, we take the fraction of the output voltage and it is connected to the input. So this is my output voltage, this is my input voltage, and we are connecting a one resistance between the output terminal and the input terminal. This is known as a feedback resistance RF. Now, remember, what kind of the feedback is this? It is a voltage shunt feedback. Here we are taking the output voltage and then it is connected parallel to the input terminal. Remember, this input terminal is there. So whatever the feedback voltage is appear here, it is parallel to your input signal. So it is a voltage shunt feedback. So by applying a negative feedback, and why it is a negative feedback? Because here the phase difference between the input and the output is 180 degree, so it is providing a negative feedback. And by changing the value of RF, you can change the feedback factor. Now, when you are talking about the inverting amplifier, then we have to give the signal to a inverting terminal of the operational amplifier. So how we can apply that? We can connect a one resistance and it is connected to this inverting terminal. At that time, the non-inverting terminal must be connected to the ground because my input signal is only a single one. So another terminal has to be connected to ground. So here we applied a input voltage. We call this a resistance R1. So this is a complete circuit of your a inverting amplifier. Now we will find out what is the gain of this inverting amplifier. Okay? So here we use the concept of a virtual ground. So virtual ground means already you know that non-inverting terminal here this potential is 0. Okay? And secondly, the input resistance of the op-amp is infinite, means that whatever the current is flowing to this terminal is also 0 and the current flowing in this terminal is 0. Second thing, that the difference of this voltage VD has to be also a 0. Then you can apply the concept of virtual ground, means here this is at a ground potential, so then you can say the point A will also at a ground potential. So here remember point A, that voltage is 0. It behave as a virtual ground. Correct? Now due to this virtual ground, remember what is going to happen? That if we talk about the current, then due to this input voltage, there will be a flow of the current. Let us say this current is I. Now the current inside the op-amp is 0. So this current is not flowing like this, but this current has to pass in this way. Correct? So current at the input and the current in the feedback part, it will be same. Now if I will apply a Kirchhoff's law, then here this will be a positive, this will be negative. Here also the current is flowing like this. So this is positive and this one is negative. Correct? Now we apply a Kirchhoff's law at the input terminal. Here, between the VI and VA. So what you can write, that the current I at input terminal, we can write the current I is equal to, you have to apply that simply in Ohm's law, I is equal to V by R. What is V? That is the potential difference across the resistance R1. So potential at this point is VA, this potential is VA, you can say the VA, and this potential is VI. So the VA, VI minus VA divided by the resistance R1. Correct? But what is VA? It is zero. It is at a ground potential. But the VA is equal to 0, and therefore we can say the current I is equal to VI by R. Now we applied a Kirchhoff's law. We applied a Kirchhoff's law to this output part. Correct? This is my feedback. So here if you apply this at output terminal, then the same current is there. So current I. Here what is the potential? VA. What is the potential here? It is VO. So we can write the VA minus VO divided by the resistance RF. But what is the potential of VA? It is 0. So this is equal to, we can say that the current I is equal to minus VO by RF. Minus VO by R. You can say equation number 1, equation number 2. And from 1 and 2, we can write minus VO by RF is equal to VI by R1. Here, this is R1. Therefore, the gain of the amplifier, remember, here we have a closed loop gain because we have connected the feedback. So the path is closed. Therefore, whatever the gain we obtain, it is a closed loop gain. So the ACL is VO by VI, and that is minus RF by R1. So by changing the value of RF or R1, you can control the gain of the amplifier. Here open loop gain is 2 lakhs. But now, here suppose my RF is a 10 kilo ohm and R1 is 1 kilo ohm, then in that case the ACL is equal to minus 10k divided by 1k, I will get minus 10. Here, this negative sign, remember, this negative sign is indicating that the phase difference between the input and the output is 180 degree. Both the signals are not in the same phase and they are out of phase. That is the meaning of this negative sign. So here the circuit is so versatile that you can change the value of RF and R1, and accordingly you can set the gain of the amplifier. Now if you see what is the input resistance, then here you will find remember, here you will find that this terminal is behaved like a ground. Correct? So the resistance seen at the input terminal will be what? Only a R1. So input resistance of the amplifier will be equal to a R1. So normally if you keep this 1 kilo ohm, then there will be a small input. But if you do not want any kind of a loading of your source, then this input resistance you have to keep high, 10 kilo or 20 kilo. It should not be very large also, because when you are talking about a practical op-amp, then the practical op-amp, that it has some input resistance. So that your input resistance should not be greater than that one. And it should not be very, if it is very small, then the input resistance will decrease. And the source is going to be low to the operational amplifier. So if you are keeping this 10, 20 or 50 kilo ohm up to that, then it's okay. And when we are talking about a output resistance, so here the output resistance will be almost a 0. Correct? So this is about a ideal inverting amplifier. Then in the next lecture, we will discuss about what is the non-inverting amplifier and some numerical also. So the concept about the analysis of the circuit, operational amplifier circuit will be clear to you.